Ludicrous Feed is proudly sponsored by Carloop, data to empower Australia's EV revolution, and Hankook, driving emotion. Hey everyone, I'm Tom, this is my wife Joy.
Hello.
And today we're going to give you our thoughts on the Chery Omoda E5. We've got the EX variant, which is the upper variant, and I've already done a walkthrough of the BX variant, so we're not going to dive too deep, but in today's video I just want to run through whether it's worth paying the extra $3,000 for the EX variant, and also to get Joy's thoughts on the car as well. So let's go check it out. Okay, so just to remind you guys, pricing starts at $42,990 for the BX entry-level variant, and then the EX variant is $45,990, extra $3,000 for the EX variant, which is the next variant up. And just to remind you of the specs as well, so 4.4 meters in length. The closest competitor would be the BYD Atto 3 at 4.45 meters in length. And in terms of specs, it's got a single motor front-wheel drive, 61.1 kilowatt hour LFP battery, 150 kilowatts of power, 340 newton meters of torque, and 1.7 tons in weight, 0 to 100 in 7.6 seconds, and a claimed efficiency of 15.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. It's got a WLTP range of 430 kilometers and max AC charge rate of 6.6 kilowatts in single phase and 9.9 kilowatts three phase, and a slowish max DC fast charge rate of 80 kilowatts. So that is the quick walk around of the Omoda Chery E5. In terms of specs between the BX and EX variants, no difference in performance, but there are some cosmetic and functional differences as well, which we'll go through once we're inside the car. Okay, so the EX variant comes with a power tailgate, which the BX variant did not. Same boot size, got a few things in there already. Going to Bunnings afterward to get some chlorine. And you can see my Big Bertha driver sitting diagonally, so it does fit quite comfortably inside the boot, and a couple of bags as well. There's a small little, oh look, there's a spare tire inside. That's very unusual for an EV these days. So a spare full-size tire, isn't that interesting? That's actually pretty good value. And then powered tailgate, once again, the VIN number's just there. Probably just see it as I was closing the door. And everything else seems to be inside for the EX variant improvements. There's also puddle lamps as well when you open the door. Probably hard to see in the daylight, but there are puddle lamps for front and back. Show you guys the back row real quick. So there it is there. I'll have a seat inside to show you how much room there is. So a bit of leg room there with my knees. And there are heated seats as well for the rear outboard seats, which the BX variant did not have. It's present in the EX variant. You can see it in the middle console there, heated seats, 3 settings, which is nice. And then USB-A and USB-C ports. Center armrest with cup holders. And there is a powered sunroof, which I'll go through when I get to the driver's seat. Okay, so you can open the charge port from the front. It's a button inside, pops up like so. CCS2, rubber caps as always with these new EVs. Type 2 portion, and DC portion there. And someone asked in my previous video whether you can open the front bonnet with that on, or with that charge port open. So let's do that. Just to make sure there's enough clearance. So you kind of have to shut this a little bit. And then you can lift up and have that open like that. And there is a small storage here as well. This comes with a mobile connector there. So
From the way you did it though, I wouldn't recommend it.
yeah, I would probably shut it first,
Yeah.
and then close it or open it accordingly. Good point. So Joy, what do you think about the Chery Omoda E5 styling from the outside?
Yeah, again, I think it's, as you know, for me, I always like just a sensible looking car that's not going to look too out of place no matter where you drive. So I think this one ticks that box. I mean, it's got some of those sort of like sporty looking features with, I don't know what you call that bit. What do you call that bit?
The lip?
Yeah.
Rear lip spoiler?
Yeah. I mean, not that it actually makes the car go faster, but it just looks like it does, so.
Looks sportier.
Yeah.
I agree. And it's like not quite a sedan. It is elevated, but I guess a bit lower than like most SUVs. So kind of that halfway fastback look. Again, the competition is the BYD Atto 3. Okay, so we're back inside the vehicle. It is quite warm out there. So we should talk about the improvements in the EX trim for an extra $3,000. So you get the powered tailgate. I showed you that before. You get 8-speaker Sony sound system, which is an extra 2 speakers compared to the BX variant. And then you get puddle lamps. Hard to see in the day, of course. Ambient lighting, so you might be able to see that little bit of a car. See if I can show you guys that. Yep, there you go. See that sort of car illuminated lights there, and there are illuminated lights across the top there, so it looks quite nice at night time. Black synthetic leather seats. Yeah, so this is synthetic leather here. Sporty style seats. It does hug your sides quite nicely. Bucket-ish type seats. Heated seats as well for front and rear outboard seats, and synthetic leather heated steering wheel too. And as I mentioned earlier, there is a powered sunroof. The shade is not powered, you just slide it like that. But you can then open the sunroof like this with that button. Okay, so Joy's going to demonstrate this for us. So you can vent it like that. And then you can open it all the way like that as well. That's it. No, keeps going. I think that's max.
that might be it.
Okay, that's it. All right, you can look outside like that. Hello, everyone. Then you can close it again. I think you've got to hang on to it, right?
Yes, you've got to hang on to it.
Then you can manually slide this if it gets too hot like today. And I think probably the best feature of the EX, well, the best functional feature is probably the addition of a 360 camera for the extra $3,000 you pay for. So there you go, 360 swivel round, front camera, side repeaters.
Is that the front left?
Yep.
Yeah.
Front left. And of course the rear camera as well. Yep. The front bumper camera is helpful actually for parking. Very useful. It's pretty high res as well from our experience just driving this week. Yeah, widens it. And then with the repeater cameras, that's the rear, back left and back right, and then the front left, front right. Good for parking once again.
That's what I really missed in my CX-5, I think, my Mazda. For parallel parking, this is so handy.
Yeah, yep.
So it's only in this top end one, is it?
I believe so, yep. The BX variant only has the rear camera. And then you can play with the settings too. So they're the main improvements with the EX trim. Otherwise, it gets all the other BX features like 18-inch alloys, all the other driver aids, 12.3-inch cluster and infotainment screens, sat-nav with that EV trip planning, the different drive modes, the Sony surround system, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, wireless phone charger, and auto high beams, and the full-size spare wheel as you saw as well. And I should tell you too that since my last Chery Omoda video, Chery has achieved a 5-star ANCAP rating for the Omoda E5, which is good to know. Okay, so let's go parallel park this car and watch the 360 cameras in action. So shift down, right stalk, all the gears, left indicator, unfortunately. I know some of you like to have it on the right side. Low speed pedestrian warning sound, you can just hear that electronic hum. We'll go for a proper test drive too after this parallel park test. Front wheel drive, so occasionally a bit torquey around corners. Okay, parallel parking. And swiveling in. Hop into drive. Go. There's your front repeater cameras. Yep, press it again.
That's the rear camera.
Yep, so you can toggle between rear and front. See, that's the front, and that's the back. You can judge how close you are.
Yeah, so if you wanted to get even closer to the curb.
Yep, so let's do that and go even closer. So push that again.
And again.
And again. Yep, I'm even closer this time.
Yeah, that's the view.
It's good, isn't it? Alright, so we're going to go for a test drive now. I actually need to go to Bunnings anyway to pick up some chlorine. But let's talk first about the $3,000 cost for the EX variant. Again, you saw the 360 camera, that's really useful for parallel parking. You saw the power liftgate, interior lighting, extra speakers. So yeah, is it worth the $3,000?
Well, I think it depends where you live in Australia, because for me, I think the heated seats and the heated steering wheel would come in really handy in winter if you lived somewhere, you know, in one of the southern states or like inland. I think that would be very, very handy. But because it's like November in Sydney at the moment, when you mention all those heating features, I just can't even imagine it.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, for me, I think the camera, having a 360 camera is pretty helpful for those who need the parking assistance, as we saw just then with that test. The artificial leather seats don't bother me too much. Extra couple of speakers, again, not too worried. Interior lighting, puddle lights, those things probably not worth it. But for the camera alone, and maybe the powered liftgate, if you're opening the boot all the time, that's going to save a lot of strain on your shoulder. Yeah.
It depends how much you use the car, isn't it? So for $3,000, if this is something that you're sitting in every day and you're driving a lot of kilometres in it, then it probably is worth the $3,000.
Yep, agreed. Okay, so the next question I wanted to answer was, compare this to the BYD Atto 3, which is its closest competitor. This car, the EX variant, even at $45,000, it's still cheaper than the equivalent BYD Atto 3 extended range with the same battery pack or same size battery pack. I guess for me personally, you know, if I wanted a car with a bit more, I guess, muted interior that looks more standard, this is probably possibly a better option compared to the Atto 3. But just from a driver's perspective, I think the driving dynamics in the Atto 3 is still better all round. This one just feels a little bit tinny, I must admit, whereas the Atto 3 feels a bit more smooth generally, and a bit more, I guess, refined compared to this. Joy, as a passenger, what do you think?
I think as a passenger, it's not as obvious. I think from the outside, I think the styling of this one's actually better. Well, for me personally, anyway. And for the inside, if you don't like a sort of funky looking interior, then this one just, yeah, I think for the fact that it's actually a bit cheaper than the Atto 3, I think it makes it a really strong competitor actually, because it seems more like a normal car, not like a weird EV car, if that sort of makes sense, you know what I mean? Not that the Atto 3 is weird, but that styling doesn't suit everyone, whereas I think this one's got sort of like more generic looking styling, which, and I mean that in a good way, like not, you know, generic meaning like you sit in it and you don't feel, yeah.
I know, I think I'd miss the guitar strings having this car over the Atto 3. But yeah, you're right, the Atto 3 styling's not to everyone's taste, although the new Atto 3, the colours are a bit more muted once again, so they've obviously received feedback from the original Atto 3. On paper though, like, it's got all the safety features you could ask for. It's got the 5-star ANCAP rating now, the higher variants of the parking cameras now, so on paper it's quite a good value car, and you know, it's cheaper on paper than Atto 3 as well. So I think as consumers it's good for us in Australia to have more options in this segment of the market anyway. Alright, well that wraps up our quick comparison of the EX variant compared to the BX variant for the Chery Omoda E5. Tell us what you think in the comments section below to let us know whether you think it's worth the extra $3,000 for those inclusions. And also give us your thoughts on whether this is good value compared to, say, the BYD Atto 3 as well. Otherwise, thanks Joy for your comments, and thanks everyone for watching. Until the next Ludicrous feed video, happy charging.